Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Wednesday, March 15, 2023. Today I'm going to recap yesterday's college basketball, NBA, NHL, and Major League Baseball spring training games. Look ahead to everything going on today. World Baseball Classic, we'll go over yesterday's and this morning's results. Look ahead to today. We have soccer, golf, reality TV, as we'll do Idol, Masked Singer, and Survivor, news and notes, and best bet. College basketball is where we'll kick it off because, well, this is March and we're already in the tournament. We'll go over the first four and the NIT and look ahead to whatever's tonight. We'll start the first four. 16 seeds in the South region. A&M Corpus Christi over Southeast Missouri State. 75-71 as Corpus Christi moves on to face Alabama 24-10, and Southeast Missouri State finishes the season 19-17. And then the second of two first four games from last night, 11 seeds in the Midwest region. Pitt over Mississippi State 60-59. Pitt improves to 23-11. Mississippi State finishes 21-13 in Chris Jans' first year there. 2 games tonight, 6:40, True TV, 16 seeds in the East region. First four, Fairleigh Dickinson and Texas Southern. Should be a interesting game. My projection is Fairleigh Dickinson by 3/4 to 146 and 11/20. And we have here 2.5 and 147.5. So my pick for this is gonna be Fairleigh Dickinson plus the 2.5 and plus 126 to an outright. Texas Southern has a losing record in their here, and I understand they've been like the kings of the first four. They've been in it 3 of the last 5 years, and they've won all 3. But I think this is Fairleigh Dickinson's time to shine, so I'm going to take them to win this game. And then 9-10 on True TV, 11 seeds in the West region, Nevada and Arizona State. Oh, baby. I project Arizona State by 9.5, total 138 and 11/20. And we have here Arizona State by 2.5, total 133.5. There's no doubt where I'm going, and I'm laying the points at Arizona State minus a 2.5. I love it. They're so much better than Nevada. Nevada doesn't even belong in the field. Rutgers' resume was so much better than Nevada's, it wasn't even close. And they're just punishing Rutgers because one of their best players is hurt and they lost to Minnesota. So, I'm laying it with Arizona State. Bobby freaking Hurley, here we go. All right, NIT, we'll go over those results from yesterday. Look ahead to tonight's NIT games. Hofstra over Rutgers, 88-86 in overtime. Michigan over Toledo, 90-80. UAB over Southern Miss, 88-60. Liberty over Villanova, 62-57. Vandy over Yale, 71-62. Wisconsin over Bradley, 81-62. Eastern Washington over Washington State, 81-74. And Colorado over Seton Hall, 65-64. All right, tonight's NIT game, 7 o'clock, ESPN2, UCF and Florida. So that is a 5-4 matchup. My projection is Florida 6.5, total 139 and 2/5. And it's 1.5 and 142.5. I'm going to lay the 1.5 with Florida. Oklahoma State and Youngstown. Say Youngstown's hosting the game because there's something going on at Okie State's campus. I have Okie State by 9, total 144.25. And it's 5.5 and 149.5. I'm going to take the under in this one. Morehead State and Clemson. Maryland's Clemson 14 total 138 and 7/10, and it's 15.5 and 137.5. That's a very high line. So where do I go? I'm going to take a slight lean to Morehead State. Alcorn State in North Texas. My line is North Texas by a whopping 22 3/4 to 129 3/5, and it's 16.5 and 124.5. I'm going to lay the points with North Texas. ESPN 2, 9 o'clock, Virginia Tech, Cincinnati. Maryland, Cincinnati, 2 1/4 to 145 and 3/20. And it's 5.5 and 152.5. Under. That's high. Sam Houston, Santa Clara. So the 6 seeds hosting in this scenario. My line is Santa Clara by 10.5 to 131 and 1/10. It's 4.5 and 142.5. I'm going to lay the 4.5 with Santa Clara. 10 o'clock, Utah Valley, New Mexico. Mine's New Mexico by 9, total 149 and 4/5. And it's 5.5 and 162.5. Under. And last but not least, 11 o'clock, ESPN 2, Sierra Irvine, Oregon. My line's Oregon 15.5 total 140 and 1/10. And it is 7.5 and 145.5. I'm going to lay the 7.5 with Oregon. All right, now we'll move on to the NBA. We'll recap the games from yesterday and look ahead to tonight. Cavs over the Hornets, 120 to 104. Wizards over the Pistons, 117-97. Raptors over the Nuggets, 125-110. Lakers over the Pelicans, 123-108. Thunder over the Nets, 121-107. Spurs over the Magic, 132-114. And the Bucks over the Suns, 116 to 104. Now look ahead to tonight's games. 7:30 ESPN Sixers Cavs. Really good game for the ESPN early game. My projection here is the Cavaliers by 1.5 total 222 and 1/5. And we have here Philly 2.5 total 222. I'm going to take Cleveland plus 2.5 and plus 120. I think this is a game that Cleveland has to have. Grizzlies Heat. Mine's the Heat by 6 3/4 total 222 and 7/10. And it's 4 and 220.5. So I'm going to lay the 4 with Miami. 8 o'clock, Kings Bulls. My line is the Kings by 1.5 total 232 and 3/4. And it's 1 and 236.5 under. Lakers Rockets. My line is, wait for it, Houston 6 3/4 total 231 and 1/5. No LeBron or AD. And it is 3 and 230. And 230 in favor of the Lakers. Give me Houston plus 3 and plus 128. Celtics Timberwolves. My line is the Celtics 7.5 total 230 and 7/10. And it's 5 and 233.5. Under. 8:30 Mavs Spurs. My line is the Spurs by 3 1/4 total 230 and 1/5. Or 2/5. Yeah, Spurs by 3 1/4 total 230 and 1/5. That's because of no Luka. And it's 6 and 231. Give me San Antonio plus a 6 and plus 188 outright. 10 o'clock, ESPN Warriors Clippers. My line is Clippers 4.5 total 230 and 7/10. And it's 2 and 236 under. All right, now move on to hockey. We'll go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to the games being played tonight. Rangers over the Caps 5-3. Hurricanes over the Jets 5-3. Lightning over the Devils 4-1. Golden Knights over the Flyers 5-3. Habs over the Penguins 6-4. Preds over the Red Wings 2-1. Blackhawks upset the Bruins 6-3. Ooh, that's not a good loss for the Bruins, losing the Blackhawks. I mean, I don't think the Boston fans are giving them the benefit of the doubt there. Oilers over the Senators 6-3. Coyotes over the Flames 4-3 in OT. Canucks over the Stars 5-2. Kings over the Isles 5-2. Blue Jackets over the Sharks 6-5 in OT. Now we have a short slate tonight, 7 o'clock on TNT. You have the Avs and the Maple Leafs. Really good game. Nate McKinnon against Austin Matthews. Leafs minus 150, Avs plus 125, over under 6.5, overs minus 112, unders minus 108. Avs plus 1.5 is minus 92, Leafs minus 1.5 is plus 158. I'm going to go with the Avs plus 125. I think that they have a point to prove. And they're the reigning Cup champs. Sabres, Caps. Sabres minus 4, Caps minus 115, over under 6.5, overs minus 134, unders plus 102. Sabres plus 1.5 is minus 245, Caps minus 1.5 is plus 198. Kind of like the Sabres here. Caps kind of almost stole that Rangers game, or could have, or at least stolen a point, but they didn't. Second of the back-to-back, give me Buffalo. 9:30 TNT Wild Blues. Yeah, I guess. That probably should be the doubleheader. I don't like it, but the two best games are both at 7 o'clock. Wild minus 50, Blues plus 125, over under 5.5, overs minus 130, unders plus 106. Wild minus 1.5 is plus 160, Blues plus 1.5 is minus 94. I'm going to go with the Minnesota Wild in regulation at plus 105. And at 10 o'clock, Islanders, Ducks. Isles minus 196, Ducks plus 162, over under 5.5. Overs minus 128, unders plus 104. Isles minus 1.5 is plus 130, Ducks plus 1.5 is minus 156. I'm going to go... Well, this is a good one. Ducks total goals over 2.5 at minus 104. Isles are on the second of a back-to-back, so I could see them being some, tired or whatever. Spring training. We'll go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to today's spring training games. Orioles over to Pirates, 7-6. Rays over to Twins, 7-4. Pirates and Twins, 2-2 tie. So the Pirates had a split squad yesterday. Cards, Astros, 3-3 tie. Braves over to Phillies, 15-5. Tigers over to Red Sox, 6-2. Marlins over the Astros, 1-0. Nationals over the Mets, 5-0. Angels over the Guardians, 8-6. White Sox over the A's, 5-4. Mariners over the Royals, 8-6. Giants over the Diamondbacks, 7-6. Yankees over the Blue Jays, 10-3. Reds over the Royals, 5-3. And the Rockies over the Cubs, 5-2. All right, and now today's games in spring training. 1 o'clock, you have the Phillies at the Yankees, Astros at the Braves, Rays, Red Sox, Pirates, Blue Jays, Cardinals, Mets, Nats, Marlins, 4 o'clock, White Sox, Giants, Royals, Rangers, Mariners, A's, Giants, Diamondbacks, so the Giants have a split squad. 9 o'clock, Cubs, Reds, Rockies, Dodgers, 9:40, Brewers, Diamondbacks, Guardians, Padres. So a lot of games today in spring training. All right, World Baseball Classic. It was busy yesterday. We look back, and then we are busy a little bit today as well. So Pool D, Venezuela over Nicaragua 4-1. Pool C, Canada over Colombia 5-0. Pool D, Dominican Republic over Israel 10-0 after Mercy Rule 7. Pool C, Mexico over Great Britain 2-1. And then this morning, quarterfinal, Cuba over Australia 4-3. All right, noon on Fox Sports 2, Pool D, Venezuela and Israel. So we have a couple of them up. Venezuela's minus 4.5 is minus 194. Israel plus 4.5 is plus 156. Venezuela money line minus 2,000. Israel's plus 920 over under 10.5. Overs minus 115. Unders minus 105. I'll take the over. 3 o'clock. Fox Sports 2. Pool C. Mexico, Canada. Mexico minus 2.5 is minus 115. Canada plus 2.5 is minus 105. Mexico's minus 290. Canada's plus 225 over under 10.5. Overs minus 112, unders minus 108. I'm going to like the run line with Mexico, minus 2.5 and minus 115. Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. That's going to be a really interesting Pool D matchup. I would expect Puerto Rico to win that. Or, I'm sorry, Dominican Republic to win that, although that's going to be a really good game. And then 10 o'clock tonight on Fox Sports 1, U.S.-Colombia. U.S. should roll there after bouncing back against the loss against Mexico. And then tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, quarterfinal Italy and Japan. Japan's minus 750, Italy's plus 490. I would expect Japan to run away and hide after that game. All right, now move on to soccer. We'll go over results of note from yesterday and look ahead to everything going on in soccer today. So we'll look at UEFA first. Results: Inter Milan and FC Porto 0-0 draw, but Inter advances 1-0 on aggregate. It was a wild finish. Pepe got a red card. And it was wild. And it's the first time in the quarterfinals in more than a decade after surviving a late barrage of pressure at Porto. So they advanced 1-0 on aggregate. And then Man City over RB Leipzig 7-0 as they advance 8-1 on aggregate. Today, 2 games, 4 o'clock, you have Napoli and Frankfurt. So Napoli's minus 240, Frankfurt's 6-1. The draw is plus 370. Napoli's just hot, not betting against them. I'm going to go over 2.5 goals at a juice minus 120. And then also 4 o'clock. And by the way, Napoli up 2-0 on aggregate. And then you have Real Madrid and Liverpool as Real Madrid's up 5-2 on aggregate. Real Madrid's plus 135. Liverpool's plus 170. The draw is plus 290. I'm going to go over 3.5 goals at plus 142. And in the quarterfinals will begin potentially, it says March 16th through April 19th, so it could be tomorrow. CONCACAF Champions League from yesterday. The Union beat Alianza FC 4-0 as the Union advanced 4-0 on aggregate. How about this? Violet. Austin wins 2-0 the game, but Violet AC advances 3-2 on aggregate. So, talk about a stunning turn of events with Austin not making through the CONCACAF. And Atlas defeats Olympia 4-0, but advances 5-4 on aggregate. All right, 3 games today. 6 o'clock, Real Espana and Vancouver. Vancouver's up 5-0 on aggregate, so Vancouver should advance. They're plus 135. Real Espana's plus 165. Draws plus 240. I'm taking Vancouver. That's easy. 8:15 Orlando and Tigres. Orlando's plus 230. Tigres is plus 105. The draw's plus 230. And they're tied on aggregate right now. Tigres is home. I'm going to take Tigres, but I don't feel good about it. Plus 105. And in 10:30, LAFC and a la Julense. LAFC's up 3-0 in aggregate. They're minus 250 home favorites. A la Julense is 5-1. The draw's 350. LAFC's going to win. I'm going to say over 3.5 goals at plus 142. Alrighty. Now we'll do the English Championship. Results from yesterday. Blackpool over QPR 6-1. Millwall over Swansea 2-1. Preston over Rotherham 2-1. Watford over Birmingham 3-0. Wigan Coventry 1-1 draw. Borough and Stoke 1-1 draw. 6 more games today in the English League Championship. 3:45 you have Blackburn and Reading. Trying to pull up the odds here. Blackburn's minus 145, Reading's plus 460, draws plus 240. I'm going to go with the over 2.5 goals at plus 138. Cardiff and West Brom. West Brom's plus 115, Cardiff is plus 260, draw plus 210. West Brom's home taking them plus 115. Huddersfield and Norwich City. Huddersfield's plus 370, draw plus 240, and Norwich is minus 130. Norwich is just better. Over 2.5 goals plus 118. Hull and Burnley. Burnley's minus 160, Hull's plus 460, draws plus 260. Burnley's playing well right now. I'm going to go over 2.5 goals at plus 126. Luton and Bristol City. Luton's minus 120, Bristol's plus 350, draws plus 230. I'm going to go with over 2.5 goals at plus 136. And last but not least, 4 o'clock, you have Sunderland and Sheffield United. Sunderland's plus 240, Sheffield's plus 220 draw. I'm sorry, the draw's plus 220 and Sheffield's plus 120. Sheffield's just better. I'm going to take them at plus 120. We do have Premier League today. 2 games, 3:30. You have Brighton and Crystal Palace. Brighton's minus 240, Crystal Palace is 7-1. The draw's plus 360. Brighton needs the game, obviously. I'm going to go over 2.5 goals at minus 116. And then Southampton and Brentford. Southampton's plus 210, Brentford's plus 140, draws plus 220. This is a tough one. Brentford's in 9th and Southampton's at the bottom. So I'm going to go with Brentford at plus 140. I'm just going to double check and make sure none of the other big leagues have games today. Usually they have some on Monday, and then they get back in the swing of things on Friday. The English FA Cup is back over the weekend. That's good to know. Tomorrow you have the second leg of the Europa League. So that is good to know. And then Women's Champions League quarterfinals is next week. And then I want to see quickly Europa. The other Europa League. But I can't seem to find it. But they're probably going tomorrow as well. All right, now we'll get into golf. We have another tournament coming up this week, and it is the Valspar Championship. So this will be held at Copperhead Course in Florida. So tee times of note: 7:40. Patrick Rogers, Alex Smalley, and Taylor Moore. 7:45. Justin Lauer, Adam Hadwin, and Kelly Craft. 7:51. Matthias Schwab, Kyle Stanley, and Michael Kim. 7:56. Jimmy Walker, Dylan Ligmerth, and Chasen Hadley. 8:02. Brendan Wu, Jason Duffner, Austin Cook. 8:07. Wesley Bryant, Charlie Hoffman, Peter Malnati. 8:13. Richie Wierenski, Michael Thompson, Chester V. 8:18. Sam Burns, Gary Woodland, Jordan Spieth. 8:24. Garrick Higo, Lucas Glover, Martin Laird. 8:29. Joel Diamond, JT Potson, and Justin Thomas. 8:35. Robert Brehm, Evan Van Rooyen, and J.B. Holmes. 8:40. Webb Simpson, Keegan Bradley, Kanguli. 8:46. Stefan Yeager, Lucas Donald, Ben Taylor. 8:51. Patton Gazier, Ryan Moore, Cam Piercy. 8:57. Doc Raymond, Dylan McCarthy, Russell Knox. 9:02. Henrik Norlander, Hank Lepiota, Bayo Hostler. 9:08. Davis Riley, Ben Griffin, and Austin Smotherman. 9:13. Will Gordon, Maverick McNeely, and Justin Sue. 9:19. Harry Hall, Scott Stevens, and John Vanderlaan. 9:24. You have Eric Barnes in there. 9:30. Matthias Schwib, Paul Haley. 9:35. Kyle Westmoreland, Andrew Novak, Victor Norman. 9:41. Cam Young. At 9:46. MJ Dauphin. 12:30. Robbie Shelton, Nate Lashley, Brian Stewart. 12:35. Sam Ryder, Max McGreevy. 12:41. Matt Trainer, Kevin Stroman. 12:46. Tyson Alexander, Adam Long. 12:52. Grayson Sieg, Wyndham Clark, Joseph Ramlett. 12:57. Kramer Hickok, Jonathan Vegas. 1:03. Chad Ramey, Nate Taylor, Joaquin Herman. 1:08. Justin Rose, Tommy Fleetwood, Matt Fitzpatrick. 1:14. Camp Champ, Tyler Duncan, Andrew Landry. 1:19. Brian Harmon, Zach Johnson, Kevin Kisner. 1:25. Sword Singh, Trey Merritt, Robert Streb. 1:30. Nicholas Echevarria, Luke List, Trey Molinax. 1:36. Adam Schenk, James Hahn, and Mark Hubbard. 1:41. Matthew Neesmith, Bryce Garnett, Kevin Tway. 1:47. Ben Martin, Davis Lipsky, and Dylan Fertelli. 1:52. Ryan Moore, Doug Gibb, Matt Wallace. 1:58. Brent Grant. 2:03. Lucas Hodges, Rory Sabatini, and Eric Cole. And 2:14. Estelonzo Goya. 2:31. Michael Giljic. 2:36. Scott Harrington, Harry Higgs. So in terms of a pick for the tournament here, the Valspar, I'm gonna go with somebody I think is due to come through. He's 17-1, and it is Justin Rose. I'm gonna lay a tenth of a unit on it. Justin Rose, 17-1, doing the Valspar Championship. All right, now we'll talk about Sunday night's episode of American Idol. We haven't had time to get to it, but we have time today. It was a good episode. It was only an hour because the Oscars was on prior. They showed a handful of auditions. And I think the last round of auditions is going to be on Sunday coming up. All right, so they showed 8 auditions. Danny Epp, 23 years old, from Suffolk, New York, performing The One That Got Away by Katy Perry. Danny talks about how the mom was big into American Idol and is honest about judging. And Danny Danny's mom came in for the performance, and the mom said that Danny needs to keep the eyes open more. And then the 3 judges said yes, and then Danny's mom gave Danny a yes as a 4th judge. So, on the Hollywood. Amara Valerio, 20 years old, from Yonkers, performing Bust Your Windows by Jasmine Sullivan, 3 yeses in the Hollywood. Savannah Christian, 23 years old, from Darlington, South Carolina, performing Eye of the Tiger by Survivor, but it was like a metaverse version of it. She got 3 no's. Hannah Nicolaisen, 23 years old, from Houston, performing Make You Feel My Love by Adele. She was excellent, got 3 yeses into Hollywood. Reed Thorns, 20 years old, from Madison, Wisconsin, performing I Believe by Fantasia, got 3 yeses in the Hollywood. Trip Taylor, from Florence, South Carolina, 18 years old, performing I Believe to My Soul by Ray Charles, 3 yeses in the Hollywood. And then they showed a girl, Rach Karma, 24 years old, from Newington, Connecticut, performing Holy Driver by Dio. Very, very rocky. And I mean that literally and figuratively. Rock girl. But it was a rocky performance. She got 3 no's. Colt Glover, 21 years old, from Magnolia, Texas, rockin' Salt and Nails by Flat and Scruggs, got 3 yeses in the Hollywood. He was really good for a country guy. And Cal Elise, 24 years old, from Danbridge, Tennessee, performing an original City of Nashville in honor of her late father. Got 3 yeses in the Hollywood. So it was a good episode, and I saw the preview for next week. Apparently some of the fan favorites from the last several years are going to be in this episode, maybe as guest, not really guest judges, but maybe just to chill with Ryan or whatever. So we'll see. I saw Hunter Girl in the preview. I'm excited about that. I loved Hunter Girl. I thought she was robbed last season. She really should have won. All right, now we'll talk about Survivor. Last week's episode was really good. So it was the second episode of the season. In the beginning, they showed Brandon losing trust in Kane after finding out he was the other player that voted against him at the previous tribal. And then at the Soka tribe, Bat was talking to Franny, telling her the truth about how he lost his next 2 votes. And then, meanwhile, nobody was paying attention. Danny found the key to the tribe's caged idol, and Danny took it. He placed the fake idol back in the bag just before Claire and Matt went to investigate. And then at Tika, Carolyn found the key to the cage but left the package open, resulting in everyone suspecting each other of opening it, not suspecting Carolyn for some reason. And then the immunity reward challenge was that everyone had to race over a wooden obstacle before untying sandbags, searching for a ball, and once the ball is found, one person scaled up the tower to release the rope, which the remaining members pulled to raise a badge so the member could cross and open for the rest of the tribe. And then after the tribes raced to the finish, where one member used the ball to complete a vertical snake maze, and the first 2 tribes won immunity along with large and small fishing gears, while the losing tribe had to forfeit their flint. Ratu came in first, Soka came in second. And then before Tribal, the alliance of Carson, Helen, and Sarah agreed to vote out Carolyn, although Sarah was without a vote. And while Carolyn and Jam Jam tried to convince Carson to blindside Helen, and then at Tribal, Carolyn declined to play her idol, and Carson was convinced to change his vote to blindside Helen, and therefore Helen went home, and leaving Sarah blindsided by the votes. I think that's very early to make a move like that, to blindside somebody. I personally think that Carolyn should have went home. And that's who Helen voted for. Sarah didn't have a vote. Because she attempted to gain an advantage and ended up doing so. And then Jam Jam, Carson, and Carolyn voted Helen. And I think the reason and what cost Helen was how she was acting after they all noticed that somebody opened up the cage. And that had Jam Jam suspicious that it was Helen that did that. So that's why she was voted out, I think. It didn't stun me that Helen went home, but I think it should have been Carolyn. If they found out the truth, or if they suspected it was Carolyn, then Carolyn would have been voted out. And then I made up little superlatives from the episode, which I unveiled on the podcast. Last week. I thought the best move was Carolyn not playing her idol, because say if she played it and didn't get any votes, then it wasn't worth it, rather than one vote. So that was a good decision by Carolyn. The worst decision was probably Helen, like, shrugging her shoulders and touching her body while they're all discussing who could have possibly opened the bird mail, quote unquote. So that is what I ultimately think undid Helen here. Favorite moment of the episode, I'm going to say, I have two, Franny and Matt falling in love, or beginning to fall in love, and Danny being very sneaky with that idol. My winner pick right now, I'm going to stick with Sarah from last week. And then my pick to go home, I think it's going to be Matt, because I think there's a possibility that the Soka tribe doesn't like that him and Franny end up falling in love, and maybe the truth comes out about him losing the extra vote to the rest of the tribe. And I just think that Soka's due to go the tribal. So I'm going to say it's Matt that gets voted off of Survivor tonight. All right, Matt Singer. We'll go over last week. So last week's episode theme was DC superheroes. And in the opening of the episode, the panelists performed I Need a Hero in hero costumes. Nicole sang. And then came up Gargoyle, a lot of like football and LA clues in there. as Gargoyle performed One Call Away by Charlie Puth. The celeb clue was rock solid, record maker, making waves on the field and making history. I think this is Odell Beckham Jr., Robinson, Antonio Gates, Ken said The Weeknd, which was dumb, and Jenny said Odell as well. Then went the Wolf. A lot of interesting clues there. There's a mask of the character that Seal was on The Masked Singer. Which was the leopard. So maybe there's a connection to Seal there. And he performed Break On Through by The Doors. The celeb clue was Timberlake, and he said he collaborated with JT. And then Squirrel went and talks about getting into a mess and making out with Tom Cruise. So this is likely an actress. She performed Try by Pink, and her celebrity clue was a photo and said hero time. Puts time into her work, but it's worth it when watching it all done. I think this is Kelly McGillis. Jenny suggested Naomi Watts and Katie Holmes. Ken threw out a couple names: Michelle Monaghan, Renee Zellweger, and Margot Robbie. And Robin said Ula Thurman. Wolf got unmasked first. My guess for Wolf, Crisscross. Robin, Nicole, and Jenny all said Michael Bolton. Kenny said Richard Marx, and it was indeed Michael Bolton. And they let him sing his own song, How Am I Supposed to Live Without You? Battle Royale was Kryptonite Gargoyle against Squirrel. And the song was Kryptonite by Three Doors Down. Gargoyle went first, Squirrel went second. Squirrel moves on. And then Gargoyle about to get unmasked, but then Jenny rang the bell. So Gargoyle survives. I thought it was aggressive in a way to use it right away, but I personally thought that Gargoyle deserved a second chance anyway. But we'll see in these next 2 episodes to see whether to save Gargoyle was a mistake or not. Alrighty. Now move on to news and notes for today. We'll start some free agency stuff. The Cowboys are likely to cut Ezekiel Elliott as soon as this afternoon. Interesting Cowboys career, got off to a great start. And he just got worse and worse and worse by the year. And Tony Pollard supplanted him in the pecking order. So this is going to be a good Ewing theory team for next year, obviously. Vikings signed Byron Murphy, 2 years, $22 million. Former Cardinals cornerback. They're just want new bodies in their secondary. Lions signing David Montgomery, 3 years, $18 million. I don't know if I like that one for them. That's a weird one. They have a lot of weird running backs. Panthers signed Andy Dalton, 2 years, $17 million, $8 million fully guaranteed. Good backup option, as it's obvious that they're going to draft a quarterback in the first round. Colts to cut Matt Ryan after 1 season in Indy. That's not surprising. Big news for the Philadelphia Eagles, re-signing James Bradbury, 3-year deal, $44 million, including $20 million fully guaranteed. He was a big part of their defense this past season, and they lost Javon Hargrave. Darius Slay might get traded, so they needed to bring somebody back on defense. The Cowboys acquire Stephon Gilmore from the Colts for a 5th-round compensatory pick. I think that's a steal for Dallas. I know Gilmore, say what you want, but he's still a good corner. The Cowboys didn't give up much to get him. And another big trade in the NFC East yesterday is that the New York Football Giants acquire Darren Waller from the Las Vegas Raiders for a 2023 third-round pick, which was the third-round pick they got from Kansas City in the Kadarius Toney trade. That's a steal of a trade for the Giants. I love it. And it's funny because I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said to me, what about Mike Gesicki for the Giants? I'm like, I actually liked what Cody Bellinger did last year. But Mike Gesicki is nowhere as good as Darren Waller. They stole Darren Waller from the Raiders. I know Darren Waller hasn't been healthy in a while, but the Raiders, that's a weird situation there. As the Giants finally get a passing option that's very above average for Daniel Jones. So good on the Giants, telling us that, hey, we believe in Daniel Jones. They pay him, now go get him some guys. Because he did so much with less last year, and Saquon Barkley wasn't 100% in the second half of the year. So good for the Giants to get this guy, and they're really trying to go for it because they think the Eagles might take a step back after losing Hargrave and potentially some other guys. They're going to have to overpay Hurts, so some of the Eagle guys are going to have to get cut. The Cowboys are getting rid of Ezekiel Elliott. So the Giants see an opportunity here to potentially make a jump a little bit, not in terms of a win-loss record, but maybe in terms of the division pecking order. We'll see what happens with Dallas and Philly. But that's a great trade for the Giants for sure. Cowboys, like I said, got Gilmore, and the Giants got Waller. Those are two great trade acquisitions in the NFC East, and obviously the Eagles keeping Bradbury. So the NFC East had a really good day yesterday as a whole. Jets signing Alan Lazard, 4 years, $44 million, $22 million guaranteed. I'm laughing because they're becoming the New York Packers right on the fly. And maybe they're going to sign Mercedes Lewis. You're hearing that name now. There's rumors about Randall Cobb going there. So all the Packer guys are going there. But really, they probably should have traded for Darren Waller. Where were the Jets on that one? That would have been a perfect guy for Aaron Rodgers. But no, the Giants went and got him. And not the Jets. And then Odell Beckham is on the Jets, or on Rodgers' wish list, assuming that Rodgers goes to the Jets. And Rodgers is going to be on Pat McAfee at 1 o'clock today, so that's going to be an interesting listen. Saints keeping Michael Thomas 1 year incentive-laden deal. We'll see how that goes. Lamar Jackson calls out a resurfaced report that he turned down $200 million guaranteed deal last year on Twitter. Lamar's just being immature right now. And nobody wants to overpay Lamar. I think he's going to end up back on the Ravens. I do. And maybe the price goes down. He's going to get more than what Daniel Jones just got. But he doesn't deserve over $200 million. He should be like 180. Maybe. I think the lowest I'd pay him is 160. I'd give him the Daniel Jones contract personally. Because he's close, in my opinion, he's closer to Daniel Jones in the quarterback pecking order now and Dak Prescott than he is to say Josh Allen and Joe Burrow and obviously Mahomes. But Mahomes is on another stratosphere. And guess who else is way better than Lamar Jackson now? Jalen Hurts. I'd rather have him than Lamar. To me, it's obviously Mahomes alone at the top. And then Joe Burrow's right there at the 2 spot. And then I'd say, like, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts. I'd say that's probably your top 5 right now. And then it's a drop-off. And then I guess Rodgers is in his own little tier. And then I'd say Lamar. And then the next, I'd say Lamar and Prescott I put together. And then the next group would be Daniel Jones, Derek Carr, Stafford, Tua. But you could argue Tua probably should be on the Lamar level. But because of his concussions, he deserves to be, and durability, obviously, he deserves to be lower. So, yeah, we'll do, like, quarterback tiers and stuff, maybe soon. But I was just thinking in my head. Josh Jacobs had an interesting tweet after seeing reports that the Raiders traded Darren Waller to the Giants. And, by the way, they signed Jimmy Garoppolo and traded one of his best weapons. The Raiders are making 0 sense right now. Chargers grant Austin Eckler permission to talk to other teams about failing to agree on a new contract. Raiders to sign Jacoby Myers, 3 years, $33 million, with $21 million guaranteed. Jacoby Myers is not a number 1 wide receiver, and he's not getting paid like one either. He's probably going to be the number 2 or the number 3 guy there. Baseball news is that the league addresses the RSN bankruptcy, as the league says they will produce and distribute games if needed in 14 local markets affected by Diamond Sports filing today. So they would have to do it because that company is in trouble right now. Freddie Freeman left Canada's game yesterday after suffering a slight hamstring injury against Colombia. Hopefully he'll be okay. Some soccer news. U.S. men's national team versus Mexico in April in Glendale for the first time ever. The Continental Clásico. And Sendejas commits to the men's team as he chooses USA over El Tri as he made his debut in January. The Bucks become the first team to clinch an NBA playoff berth. And then we saw the Bruins and hockey clinch over the weekend. So we had the first hockey team clinch Saturday and the first NBA team clinch yesterday. So now we're in clinching playoff seasons. Projected number 2 overall pick, Scoot Henderson, will not play the rest of the G League Ignite season. That's a smart move by G League Ignite. You want Scoot ready for the draft. He's very likely to be a top 3 pick. There's some people that like Brandon Miller over him now for the 2 spot, which is interesting. But they're doing the right thing. Kelsey Plum roasts Josh McDaniels as she and new wife of ex-Raider Darren Waller tweets why coach might have traded him. RG3 said Darren Waller just got married to Kelsey Plum of the Vegas Aces, and Josh McDaniels' wedding present to him was to trade him to the New York Giants. McDaniels is not a romantic. And then Kelsey Plum goes, probably because he wasn't invited to the wedding. That's funny. That's actually kind of funny, but I don't think Kelsey's right. Darren Waller was in trade rumors last year. The Packers were trying to trade for him last year, but the Raiders wouldn't give him up. Because they were trying to win. And were still in the hunt for a wild card. And Derek Carr was still there. So, maybe Kelsey's right. Who knows? And sad hockey news, Andrei Svechnikov out for the rest of the season as he'll undergo knee surgery this week. That is a brutal loss for the Carolina Hurricanes. This could be a death blow for them. You got to wonder why they didn't go for a big-time forward like Ryan O'Reilly or one of the guys that the Rangers got or anybody like that. Like, that is just brutal for the Carolina Hurricanes. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. A lot of news and notes today, especially in football. Best bet today is so easy. I love this pick so much. It's in college basketball, and it's the Arizona State Sun Devils, -2.5 against Nevada. I said yesterday, not on the show, but to myself, like, after the show, that I knew this was going to be best bet. So, I'm going to lay to 2.5 with Arizona State and -110 against Nevada for my best bet of the day. I absolutely love this pick. All right, so that's it for the show. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything, looking ahead to everything tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.